Over 70 million people in the US alone suffer from insomnia. It's a big deal, especially if you're a sufferer of insomnia like me. There's one box that you may have already checked off your list of things that might be contributing to your insomnia that you need to go back and re-examine, and that's what this video is about. I'm Dr. Ken Berry, a family physician, and this one thing and how to change it, how to fix it, how to understand it might make the difference for your insomnia. As an insomnia sufferer, you know that caffeine can affect your sleep. And the question becomes, how many hours before bedtime should you stop consuming caffeine so that it doesn't interfere with your sleep? You've probably been told by your healthcare provider to stop caffeine about 5 or 6 hours before you go to bed. This is indeed standard advice. The problem is that for many of us, this advice is incorrect. The American Academy of Sleep Medicine says that caffeine has a half-life of 3 to 5 hours in the human body, and therefore that's where the 6-hour stop the caffeine before bed, that's where that recommendation comes from. So first of all, let's talk about the half-life issue. So if you ingest 200 milligrams of caffeine in a cup of coffee or tea, 1 hour, a half-life is the point in time at which there's only 100 milligrams. It doesn't mean the caffeine's gone in that length of time. It just means that your body, your liver, has metabolized half of the caffeine. And for the average young, healthy person, and those are key concepts we'll get back to in a minute, it's between 3 and 5 hours is the half-life of caffeine. Here's the rub. Many of us, our half-life of caffeine in our body is much, much longer than 3 to 5 hours. And so if you've been stopping caffeine 6 hours before bedtime and you're still having trouble with insomnia, you could be one of these people who doesn't metabolize caffeine like a young, healthy person often does. Caffeine acts in your brain as an adenosine receptor antagonist. Now, adenosine, in addition to many other things it does in the human body, also tends to make you feel sleepy. And so when you've got caffeine in there mucking up the adenosine receptor, you just don't feel sleepy. You might feel tired, you might feel fatigued, you might feel exhausted, but you can't go to sleep if caffeine is messing with your adenosine receptors. As you might guess, there are certain genes that are in charge of your ability to metabolize or break down caffeine in your body. Some of us metabolize it very quickly and give us a caffeine half-life of 3 hours to 5 hours. Others of us don't metabolize caffeine nearly that quickly, and that's why many of us, including me, have to stop caffeine many, many hours before the 6-hour mark. So if you lost the genetic lottery when it comes to caffeine metabolism in your body, you may need to stop caffeine 8 hours, 10 hours, even 12 hours before your scheduled bedtime in order to have the caffeine percentage in your bloodstream low enough so that you can go to sleep. If you have any degree of liver inflammation or liver damage, then your ability to metabolize caffeine may be much, much worse than this. I've got links down in the show notes to all the research I used to make this video so you can do further reading should you choose to do so. But in one study, there was one patient who was 35 years old, that's pretty darn young, but had alcoholic liver disease. And for that patient, his half-life for caffeine was 60 hours. So if he drank a cup of coffee, it would be 3 days before the half-life of the caffeine in his system would be low enough that he could get to sleep. Another patient was a 49-year-old woman who had alcoholic liver disease again. Her serum half-life for caffeine was 168 hours. And so if she drank a cup of coffee this morning, she would be able to go to sleep sometime next Thursday. So you have to understand there are multiple things deciding how quickly you metabolize caffeine. The 6-hour cutoff is probably not enough if you're still suffering from insomnia. I personally, if I have one sip of a caffeinated beverage anywhere after the 12-hour cutoff between now and bedtime, I'll be laying there counting the ceiling tiles, unable to get to sleep. And I don't have any degree of liver damage, so therefore I'm just a poor metabolizer genetically of caffeine. You may very well be in the same boat. Many people notice that when they stop caffeine 12 or even 14 hours before bedtime, they sleep much deeper and get to sleep much more readily. So I think it's fine to have your cup of coffee in the morning unless you have significant liver disease, and then you may just want to have a cup of coffee on Monday morning and then hope to get to sleep by Wednesday. If you know a insomnia sufferer, sharing this video with them might really help improve their sleep quality and thus the quality of their life. This is Dr. Barry. I'll see you next time.